Chase Australia.
Tonight, one opens, one shuts. Christmas at last for Sydney-siders heading to Queensland. Panic hits Perth, the single case that's put 2 million people in lockdown. An innocent family ducks as bullets are fired into their Mount Druitt home, narrowly missing children. Once they promised it would go, now new tolls on old roads. The plan to slug drivers even more to cross the harbour. Citizens arrest after an alleged thief knocks a little boy out cold. Exploding inferno the moment a sprawling home goes up in flames. The Sydney Council's rejecting almost every compensation claim, citing technicalities to avoid paying for damage. And from washed up to wanting more, Josh Dugan sets his sights on a new Sharks contract.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. There are extraordinary scenes out of Perth tonight, where the city's first big COVID scare since the pandemic set in is pushing shops, testing clinics and politicians to their limits. Their Premier has confirmed the security guard who sparked the lockdown does have the mutant UK strain of the virus. But Mark McGowan is facing criticism. His state was ill-prepared for the inevitable.
More astonishing pictures of Perth's reaction to its single case of COVID. A Coles crush of panic buying.
I don't think I've ever worked this hard in a Woolworths before.
Today they queued again, but this time at testing clinics. Thousands lining up for hours in 38-degree heat.
It's a wake-up call for us in WA because we've been so free, I guess, for 10 months.
The rest of the city abandoned and deserted. Beaches, swimming pools, shopping centres, with 2 million people ordered into a 5-day lockdown.
The message to everyone is to stay home.
Even enforcing masks at the beach. The move sparked national criticism. The attempt at COVID elimination slammed.
It might be a great sort of, political slogan, but it's not a realistic approach to this virus.
The Deputy Premier here says the WA government should be embarrassed.
It's funny, 6 weeks out from a state election in WA, he's playing straight out of the Palaszczuk playbook, putting politics in front of people. I think there's some egg on his face.
There are no other solutions. This is the only solution that is there.
So far, no further cases save for the hotel quarantine guard, but it sparked an immediate review of the system after revelations the hotel is also used for weddings. The guard moonlighted as an Uber driver and the daily testing system was delayed.
This government has sat on its hands. We've been yelling at them, fix the quarantine. They didn't. Now they've got to carry the can.
The guard's apartment complex locked down today as to how he contracted the UK strand of the virus.
There's no present evidence that he's gone into a room.
The state squabbles continued too over the Federal Treasurer's refusal to help Queensland's tourism sector.
Those remarks from Minister Frydenberg, they're heartless, they're cruel.
We just can't be the ATM for silly decisions.
At Sydney Airport this morning, the GWS women's team flew in from WA. New South Wales still open, while Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania and the Northern Territory all firmly shut.
New South Wales has a standing policy of keeping our borders open, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Today, the Premier also confirmed that local quarantine staff here are tested daily, but revealed they can have multiple jobs.
You cannot prevent people who work in the quarantine system, and there's thousands of them, from going about their daily lives.
The Premier also noted a spike in the number of people back in the city today. Road traffic also back at near normal levels, but public transport is still at half capacity, despite the state achieving good numbers this morning.
Another day of zero community cases today, now 15 days running. Chris Reason, 7 News.
As one state went into lockdown, another reopened. After 6 weeks, all of Sydney is now allowed back into Queensland. Thousands of people have already made the dash north, knowing the border could slam shut again at any moment.
After 42 days and 42 nights.
You've grown a big boy, haven't you?
Welcome back to Queensland. Reunions like these have been a long time coming.
It's the first day they opened up, we're right here.
As thousands of passengers jumped on the first flights out of Sydney, they were met not with quarantine, just friends and family.
About a year since I've seen my daughter, yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while. Too long.
It's been an unbearable wait for this grandmother. Finally, meeting her baby granddaughter for the first time.
We're really happy to be back, yeah. It's been a while.
6 weeks forced separation was always going to be tough, especially over Christmas.
Whole family's here, so I'm the only one that missed out on Christmas, but finally get to hand over all the gifts.
In Tweed Heads, the border blockade was lifted in the middle of the night.
It's fantastic.
You can go to Queensland.
Yes, about bloody time.
This is the moment the border opened, but few think it will be the last time that it will be closed. In fact, the Queensland border has had some form of restriction 21 times in the past 12 months.
I'm sick of it. Close and open and close and open.
A logistical nightmare every time.
We're old hands at this. This is the third time we've done it.
While the border is open, airlines are capitalising. Virgin increasing services to the Sunshine State with 1.9 million seats on sale. The push to send tourists north of the border embraced south of it.
It's good for the economy, but realistically, as you can see, Byron is inundated.
Demand for accommodation in Byron Bay is 50% higher than a year ago.
We're the next stop south of the Queensland border, so it was, and we actually had people who were travelling to Queensland and realised that they couldn't get across the border, and they said, don't worry, we'll go to Byron.
But with Queensland now begging for tourists to return, that could change, for now at least. Amelia Brace, 7 News.
The Prime Minister's pledged to protect all Australians, unveiling more money for the vaccine rollout, but warning support payments must end. He's also revealed his vision for the year ahead after new border restrictions threaten to disrupt tomorrow's return of federal parliament.
Arriving in Canberra from Perth, MPs from the West are immediately separated from the rest.
We are all going to our accommodation wearing masks and isolating until we get further information.
That information, special exemptions to join Parliament's opening tomorrow if they test negative today.
We cannot be too careful around these new strains.
Scott Morrison devoting another $1.9 billion to start the vaccine rollout this month.
Our aim is to offer all Australians the opportunity to be vaccinated by October of this year.
Where are they?
Oh. Anthony Albanese asking why the Pfizer vaccine approved a week ago isn't already being administered.
It's gone through all its processes. We have full faith in the TGA. It should have been rolled out immediately.
Supplies are expected to arrive in a week, but batch testing will take another 2, as the Prime Minister confirms he won't extend JobKeeper beyond next month.
You can't run the Australian economy on taxpayers' money forever.
And if companies that funnel JobKeeper payments into executive bonuses and dividends want to pay it back...
Great, good for them.
But says he won't force them to.
I'm not into the politics of envy, Mark.
If these were social security recipients, the government would be chasing them.
And firming his line on climate change, Scott Morrison says reaching net zero emissions by 2050 remains his goal. But hitting that target before then is now his preference. But through technology, not taxes.
I'm not putting on a carbon tax, and I'm not putting up the GST.
Something to reflect upon at the War Memorial's last post ceremony.
And let's go to Mark Riley in Canberra now. Mark, Scott Morrison used today's speech to lay out his priorities for the year. What stood out to you?
Well, Mark, he nominated 5 key areas, but there are really 2 standouts. Vaccines and jobs, both are fraught with danger. The Prime Minister will have to wear any problems with the vaccine rollout and take-up rates. And with those JobKeeper billions being pulled, there's a real risk of businesses failing and jobs disappearing. The game is about to change. Scott Morrison will soon learn that giving voters free money is much easier and a whole lot more popular than taking it away, Mark.
It sure is. Mark Riley in Canberra. Thank you. A frightening case of what police believe may be mistaken identity could have had tragic consequences after a gunman targeted a home in Mount Druitt overnight. A man sitting on the veranda and his wife and children sleeping inside escaped injury, but those responsible remain on the run.
As his home becomes a crime scene, Tui Pulivale watches on from the same seat where he was targeted by a gunman.
The car came past and went bang, bang, bang.
He was on the veranda of his Mount Druitt house just before 2 this morning, having a coffee and cigarette before work, when a white car pulled up and the passenger opened fire.
We heard a car coming up the road, slowed down,
and then heard 2 gunshots, and then it full sped up the road.
Mr. Puliveya's wife and 3 young daughters were asleep inside.
Oh, it's scary, you know. It was scary, but, you know, I just want to know why they wanted to come and shoot at us. I haven't done nothing.
2 bullets struck his 4-wheel drive, but the 51-year-old mechanic wasn't hit.
Better luck. Get a lot of ticket now.
Police put several streets into lockdown as they hunted for 2 suspects and the getaway car.
It's just a normal family living in a house there at Mount Druitt there, and there's no reason why anyone would shoot up those houses as far as we're aware.
As the suspects took off, the 51-year-old's adrenaline kicked in. He grabbed the keys to a second car parked in his driveway, jumped in and chased his attackers for 500 metres.
It was extremely dangerous. Obviously these people were armed.
And still might be. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
A 5-year-old boy has been knocked unconscious by a man fleeing with a stolen phone. The 30-year-old broke free from a citizen's arrest at Lidcombe Shopping Centre yesterday, knocking the boy to the ground before being stopped a second time. He'd allegedly taken off with the mobile after his card was declined.
The kid that got knocked out, he's probably going through more than I have, because he did get knocked out and he was unconscious for a bit. Hopefully he doesn't get any concussions.
The young boy is stable in the Children's Hospital at Westmead with minor head injuries. The man has been charged. A bushfire raging in 38-degree heat is threatening lives and destroying homes on the outskirts of Perth. The blaze sprang up just after midday, bearing down on a semi-rural area with devastating effect. Residents have now been told any attempt to escape could prove deadly and they should try to shelter in place. A McDonald's customer has been ordered to get help for anger management issues following a violent meltdown last month. Jake Cinderberry smashed a cash register when asked to sign in with a QR code. Today he apologised, admitting he has a problem with alcohol and a bad temper.
As he grabbed the cash register off a McDonald's front counter, it was clear Jake Cinderberry was angry.
What caused you to be so angry that day, Jake?
He'd been asked to check in with a COVID-safe QR code at the Kellyville Ridge restaurant. A simple request, a violent reaction. The intoxicated 25-year-old verbally abused staff members, then smashed up the cash register before being asked to leave. He had less to say as he left court today.
Why did you lash out that day?
After pleading guilty to destroying property, using offensive language and failing to comply with the COVID-19 direction. I need to denounce your behaviour as reprehensible, and I need to send a message to the community, the magistrate said, handing him a 2-year community corrections order as well as 150 hours of community service.
Do you think you've been handed a fair sentence? Cinderberry appeared without a lawyer, telling the court he was sorry, but the magistrate said that didn't carry a lot of weight, ordering him to undergo counselling for alcohol and anger management, revealing to the court 2 prior convictions for damaging property and a 2016 conviction for high-range drink driving.
He will also have to pay almost $3,000 in fines. Laura Banks, 7 News.
Tolls on the Harbour Tunnel seem set to stay, and the Premier hasn't ruled out charging drivers for more roads to pay for new projects. Added costs putting strain on struggling families and businesses with fewer and fewer free alternatives.
COVID plus Sydney road costs, killing small bus and business operators.
It's been emotional. It has been impossible to keep the business running.
Green slips alone costing $10,000 a year. They're calling for government rescue rebates.
Tradies, truckies and so many people who pay CTP for their commercial vehicles are desperate.
Tolls only set to become more taxing too, likely to stay southbound in the Sydney Harbour Tunnel even after it's due to expire in 18 months. The Premier today not ruling out going further, a new toll northbound in the Harbour Tunnel and on the Harbour Bridge.
I don't think we can rule out any of those options because they're under consideration given the vast infrastructure pipeline we have into the future.
On a trip from Liverpool to North Sydney, it would mean even more than $20. The free alternative, a winding rat run via North Ryde, taking over an hour and 10 minutes, with potentially more local roads choked with toll dodgers.
Well, that sort of congestion could be coming now to places like Gladesville and Rye.
Across Sydney, traffic is officially back to pre-COVID levels as commuters return to the office but turn away from public transport. Opal patronage is dramatically down.
We want to assure people that if you do catch a bus or a train, everybody else will be wearing a mask.
Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
The Attorney-General is demanding a new union ad be removed for what he's slammed as a shameful attack on the Prime Minister. Scott Morrison is depicted speeding towards workers as part of a new campaign against proposed industrial relations reforms.
Insensitive to the families of people who have been the victims of this type of thing happening on roads, and disgusting piece of advertising I've seen. I just think the good people in the union movement should pull it.
Unions for tradies and electricians insist the campaign will stop workers being misled. Mass protests and mass arrests have gripped Russia as Vladimir Putin's government faces increasing opposition on the streets. More than 5,000 people have been detained across dozens of cities, with the man who sparked the protests facing trial this week.
In heavy snow, it looked like a game. It was anything but, as police chased down protesters, detaining thousands. It was rough and at times blatantly violent as the Russian state cracked down on dissenting voices. A second weekend of mass protests across 85 cities met with a show of force by Vladimir Putin's government, facing the biggest internal threat to its grip on power in years. He will threaten war just to keep his throne, this man's sign says. Down with the Tsar, they chanted in St. Petersburg, Putin's birthplace. Police at times picked out people standing on street corners for arrest. I want to live in a normal country where our rights are protected, that's all, this woman says. In Vladivostok, protesters tried to avoid police by dancing on a frozen river. Opposition leader Alexei Navalny remains in jail. He'll face separate court hearings this week, including charges of defamation 6 months after an assassination attempt the West blames on the Kremlin. Toilet brushes have become a symbol of the protest. Navalny claims those belonging to Putin are worth hundreds of dollars. In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
A report into the fitness of Crown Resorts to hold a gaming licence for its Barangaroo Casino has been handed to the Liquor and Gaming Authority. Commissioner Patricia Bergen's findings and recommendations from her inquiry will now be considered. It's expected to be made public within a fortnight. Time to check the weather now, Angie. It was hot and humid today.
Mark, humidity barely dropped below 70% all day, so it was another steamy 24 hours. The city's low was 20.7 before reaching a top of 28.9 in the early afternoon. Again, we are monitoring some severe storms this evening. This warning zone in yellow covers the central west all the way down to the Snowy Mountains. A line of particularly heavy cells is on the move towards Canberra right now. We are heading for another day of wet weather ahead tomorrow as well, edging into the south tonight, pushing all the way up the coast by late tomorrow. Around 10 millimetres possible for places like Dubbo, closer to 30 millimetres on the south coast at Ulladulla. Checking current conditions, it is partly cloudy across Sydney, 26 degrees in the CBD, ahead of a grey Tuesday ahead. More details soon, Mark.
OK, Angie, thank you. Early predictions of a house price plummet couldn't have been more wrong, defying the pandemic where prices are soaring, plus an insider's prediction. What's next? A live grenade found in a family park, an old war relic detonated. Leaders detained, communication shut down, a military coup unfolding in Myanmar. Trying to save Captain Tom, the 100-year-old who raised millions for nurses, now battling COVID. And in sport, the Thunder caught with their pants down as hopes of an all-Sydney Big Bash final are dashed.
One small putt for man, one giant leap for Putt-Kai. We are about to see something that's never been seen before on Australian television.
The incredibly successful #1 rating smash hit.
Oh! Light him up! Oh my God! Oh! This is Holy Moly! Extreme.
Extreme family fun starts tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Invest with Latrobe Financial, Australia's multi-award-winning wealth manager, returning a current variable rate of 4.35% per annum reviewed monthly on a 12-month investment. Make your money work harder for you. Call 13 80 10.
Come on, Lola. Wick sticks. Mom.
Come on.
Bye. Kids.
Bye.
Perfect for rapidly growing families. The all-new Hyundai Palisade.
Food supports local Aussie growers and is proudly Australian owned. Their chef-inspired, ready-made meals are created with the freshest of ingredients and delivered to your door nationwide. Try 7 meals for $55 today.
What is greatness? It is constantly reaching for perfection, knowing you can always become stronger, pushing you to go further, to aim higher. And never give up. And by reaching past your limits, to rise above. It's what's inside that makes you great. Colgate Total, made for greatness.
Get your Woolies worth and save $10 off your online shop when you enter code SAVE at the checkout. Minimum spend applies. Visit woolworths.com.au and start shopping today.
That's why I pick Woolies.
When COVID hit, Shane started working from home. Because he was at home more, he switched to Yui and saved $537 on his home insurance. When your life changes, your insurance should too. Yui, you insured.
Welcome back. A young boy has stumbled upon a live grenade buried at a family park in Brisbane. His parents called police, who called in the army to detonate the explosive. The weapon dates back to World War II. The family recovered a piece of shrapnel from the grenade to keep as a souvenir. House prices across the country continue to defy pandemic pressure, reaching new highs. Gains were recorded last month across all capital cities. Regional areas also surged, buoyed by those working remotely from home.
This Regent's Park home has belonged to the same family since it was built in 1954.
So one of the highlights of the property is this great family room.
Back when you could buy a local three-bedder for just $7,000. This weekend it's going to auction with a price guide of $850,000.
The family's decided that it is time to sell and hopefully the new family love it just as much as the previous one.
Last month house prices hit a fresh record high, up 0.9%. Every capital city recorded gains. Darwin leading the pack, up 2.3%, followed by Perth and Hobart, Canberra, Brisbane and Adelaide. Sydney and Melbourne had more modest increases, up 0.4%. But similar to last year, it was the region steaming ahead, prices rising at more than double the pace of the cities, thanks to more people working from home.
As well as people seeking more lifestyle, affordability, lower density.
Rock bottom interest rates, an ongoing shortage of homes for sale and steadily increasing demand from buyers have led to predictions that house prices will rise even further this year.
Overall, it seems that there are more tailwinds for growth in the market at the moment than headwinds.
Buyers are here with confidence. Vendors want a good result, and it's a good time to be selling and buying real estate.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
The fledgling elected government in Myanmar has been overthrown in a military coup. The country's state councillor Aung San Suu Kyi was detained along with other senior figures during early morning raids. Communication has been widely shut down, but the military-run TV channel broadcast a message saying it's declared a state of emergency and taken control for the next year. People are now queuing for food and other basics, fearing what comes next. It follows rising tension after November's election, when Aung San Suu Kyi was delivered a landslide victory which the military labelled a fraud. Donald Trump has named a new legal team just a week out from his second impeachment trial. He parted ways with 5 attorneys over strategy issues and claims his new lawyers have national profiles. One, David Schoen, had met with billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein before his death. The second, Bruce Castor Jr., famously declined to prosecute Bill Cosby when he was Pennsylvania's district attorney. British charity hero Captain Sir Tom Moore has become infected with COVID-19 at the age of 100. Sir Tom, knighted for his efforts helping health workers across the UK, now has them doing all they can to save him.
Captain Sir Tom Moore is a hero of the latest Battle of Britain, a war veteran who raised nearly $60 million for the National Health Service. Now 100 years old, struck down by the very disease he was fighting, COVID-19. Already treated for pneumonia, he tested positive last week and was admitted to hospital in Bedford, north of London, on Sunday. His daughter Hannah said he was at home with us until today, when he needed additional help with his breathing. He's being treated in a ward, although he is not in ICU. Despite Sir Tom's age, he had not had a COVID vaccination because of his pneumonia. Boris Johnson led the well-wishers, tweeting, "You have inspired the whole nation, and I know we are all wishing you a full recovery." Captain Tom came to notice last year when he vowed to walk 100 laps of his garden to raise funds for the NHS. His goal, a couple of $1,000, soon eclipsed. By his 100th birthday, he'd raised $57 million.
It's unbelievable that people are so kind throughout the world.
Captain Tom was knighted by the Queen at Windsor in July.
What more can anyone wish for than that?
Good health, perhaps. He already has the adoration of a nation. Mike Amor, 7 News.
There'll be no All-Sydney Big Bash final after the Thunder went down to the Heat in Canberra. Mel McLaughlin is here, and Mel, that leaves the Sixers flying our flag, and they're finally home.
They are, Fergo. For the first time in 3 months, the defending champions have been allowed back to their hometown. Coming up in sport, we'll hear from the Sixers on what the title would mean, and is Aussie star Mitchell Starc fit? Also coming up, Cronulla veteran Josh Dugan's mission to convince the Sharks to keep the faith. And in the Premier League, Liverpool star Mo Salah helps close the gap on Man City in style. It was a great goal, credit where it's due. This is going to go down to the wire, this title.
Easy in fine form.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mel. She was convicted of a black widow murder. Next, a shocked courtroom verdict. That's ahead. Plus, tradies spark an emergency at Seven Hills. What happened inside this house? How will it work? The biggest logistical project in Australia's modern history? All the answers next. And making the most of it while they can, the extraordinary path of a worsening winter storm.
7 News brought to you by Officeworks.
On average, parents are saving 25% on their school list prices with Officeworks. So you'll have something left for you.
Mine?
Mine. With low prices and great savings, it's the best back to school ever at Officeworks.
Get away from the water! Get away from the water!
911, what is your emergency?
The dam broke. Help!
911, the mudslide. Tonight after Holy Moly on 7.
Today marks 10 years since our once united nation was divided by the Great State War. An increasing number...
I love the smell of lamb in the morning.
We did it! The United States of Australia.
Nah, it's just Australia.
Charlie, cut it out, please. Oh my gosh! Let me go! Let me go! Let me sail, let the Orinoco flow. Let me reach, let me beach on the shores of Tripoli. Da, da, ooh, da, da.
With all
all the comfort and technology in the new Santa Fe. It's peace at last.
The Nick Scamey January sale, extended for 1 week only. Save up to 50% off a huge range of quality furniture. The Nick Scamey January sale must end Sunday.
Save up to 10% on your first year's premium when you get a new Allianz home insurance policy online. Allianz, supporting Australians for over 100 years, no matter the weather. Search for a quote today.
A distracting new deal every week in February. This week, get a $6 small Big Mac meal and cheeseburger. Order today only on the My Macca's app.
Tired of running out of sparkling water? Then get this counterbalance forklift. It can carry truckloads so you never run out. There must be a fresher way. Oh, get a soda stream and make fresh sparkling water at home whenever you want.
Flavor you can smash. Flavor you can thrash. Flavor just for me. Flavor you can see. Shapes.
New Shapes Triple Cheese Toasty.
Watch as these Brits take recycling to the extreme.
Yes, that's bonkers.
Brand new Restoration Workshop tonight on Mate.
Welcome back. A New South Wales woman found guilty of poisoning her de facto husband in Adelaide has had her murder conviction sensationally overturned. South Australia's highest court found the jury may have been overwhelmed by the number of lies the accused killer told when reaching their verdict.
Wendy Dent was found guilty by a jury and sentenced to 25 years for the poisoning murder of David Lawrence, the man she claimed was the love of her life. She appealed, and today 3 judges decided the jury may have been simply overwhelmed and confused by the extent of her lies when reaching their verdict, that it may have caused a miscarriage of justice. The stunning development sent shockwaves throughout the courtroom, which was packed with David Lawrence's astonished relatives.
We're upset. I was shattered. Yeah, we shattered. We thought it was all over, but it's clearly not. So we'll just wait and see. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah.
62-year-old David Lawrence was found dead in his Morford Vale home in 2015 with prescription drugs in his system that the court heard belonged to Dent. Almost 2 years later, after a long and complicated police investigation, police made their move, arresting Dent after she'd moved to Dapto in New South Wales. During the murder trial, prosecutors maintained she administered the drugs to Mr Lawrence, the alleged motive greed, so she could get her hands on his $300,000 estate. The court also heard she allegedly falsified his will. Dent remains in custody for now, and with a new trial ordered that may not take place until later this year or even early next year, Dent may apply to be released on bail. Deanna Williams, 7 News.
Tradies have accidentally set fire to a house in Seven Hills while they were welding on site this morning. Timber framing inside a wall caught alight, sparking a neighbourhood scramble. People next door came in with a hose, stopping the flames spreading before crews even arrived. Firefighters say there is some damage. More than 100 million Americans are under a winter weather warning tonight from a slow-moving storm that has crossed the entire country. Snow and high winds are triggering blizzards and blackouts.
In any other winter, it's just another snow fight. But for a city under guard for weeks, starting the year engulfed in violence, this was a welcome war on the national north, celebrating the biggest snowfall in Washington in 2 years. Army cadets taking aim in Virginia. The DC Zoo transformed into a winter playground, a pristine snowfall blanketing the Biden White House. For some Chicago locals confined to their homes for months in the pandemic, freedom.
Main Street of Chicago! Let's go!
In a city frozen over. A pair of brave kayakers hit the Chicago River. Lake Michigan churned with chunks of ice. Outdoor dining was halted, so too the traffic.
Good luck, buddy.
As the winter storm Orlena barreled through the Midwest towards New York.
This is
not a storm to underestimate. Take it seriously. This is a dangerous storm.
In the United States, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
A $45 million rebuild of a school in Sydney South has now opened. Penshurst Public School has 47 new classrooms, a library, hall and open play spaces. The state government says 10 new or upgraded schools have opened today, benefiting 5,300 students from Sydney to Armidale and Wagga.
We want every single child, no matter where they live or what their circumstances, to have the opportunity to be their best.
The total cost, more than $400 million. While borders around us open and close, the Prime Minister is now focused on the COVID vaccine as our best path out of this pandemic. He announced another $1.9 billion in funding today. But what will the program really look like? Who'll get it and when? Chris Reason explains.
It's an operation being described as the largest logistics effort we've faced since the Second World War. 25 million of us spread far and wide over the world's biggest island. We've got 3 vaccines in the pipeline. First, Pfizer, the one that needs that deep freeze storage at minus 70 degrees. Fully imported from Europe, due late February, although politics and problems in the EU look set to push that back. Next up, AstraZeneca. Also suffering EU supply issues, but we have a secret weapon there. We're making our own at CSL in Melbourne. 50 million doses, enough to cover the country. That should start to roll out late March once it's officially approved by our drugs watchdog, the TGA. Third is the Novavax vaccine, but it is still at trial phase. Now, who gets it and how? It's a stage 5 rollout. Phase 1A sees frontline health, quarantine and border workers get jabs at 11 hospital hubs statewide, while vaccination teams will roll out to aged care facilities to cover all staff and residents there. Next, phase 1B, GPs helping vaccinate everyone over 70, health workers, the vulnerable, Indigenous over 55s, the police and the army. Then phase 2A sees pharmacies start helping, vaccinating everyone in their 50s and in their 60s. Now, phase 2B is the rest of the adult population of Australia, almost 7 million people. And finally, phase 3, children, if that's recommended by then. It will all likely work via a national booking system. You get an appointment, head to your nearest site, receive the injection and get entered into the National Immunisation Register. Several weeks later, of course, you'll need a second dose. It will all be free and voluntary, with the government aiming to have everyone vaccinated by the end of October.
Thanks, Chris. Cheap one week, expensive the next. Swinging fruit and veg prices making it tough to budget. Why the price of apples has almost doubled. That's next. It's the biggest pool in Sydney since the 2000 Games. The new $100 million attraction opened today. The Sydney Council's rejecting damage claims. How to make them pay. A special investigation ahead.
Soon in sport, after months as Big Bash nomads, the Sixers finally return to Sydney to host the final.
And a few more showers in the mix tomorrow before skies start to clear midweek. Details soon.
And I had a dream that someday I would just fly.
What is the spirit of Australian women? Proud, honest, courageous, fun, loving, creative, and strong. Each month, our journalists bring you the truth about what inspires and what's important to Australian women. And this month's no different, because we are Australian. We are the Australian Women's Weekly.
At Carpet Call, we've got new shipments of rugs to clear from our warehouses. Choose one of our latest design fashion rugs and take 50% off the ticketed price on our website. Jump onto carpetcall.com.au now for 50% off rugs.
Bone mass peaks in our 30s. You need enough vitamin D to maintain bone strength. Look after your bones with new Austerlin Bone Strength, with the added benefit of magnesium, iron or collagen support.
Order the new Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G from Telstra, and you'll get up to $600 bill credit over 12 months when you add it to an XL plan. Ask us how today.
Godfrey's gives you cleanliness for less with this hot offer. Hoover Ultra Power Stick Vacuum, now only $1.99. Save $100. Hurry while stocks last. Godfrey's Cleanliness.
Oh, reminds me. Better book in for a service.
Glad I got cap price servicing.
Where is it?
I'm still feeling it.
Get the new Hilux 4x4 SR5 with free on-roads. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
The transition to cleaner, more sustainable energy, like solar energy, would not be possible without copper. Imagine that, a resources company making it possible for millions of Australian homes to be powered by the sun.
Welcome back. Time now for a check of the markets. Here's Network Finance Editor Gemma Acton.
Thanks, Mark. Well, after a sluggish start which saw Aussie shares fall far and fast, the ASX 200 staged a remarkable comeback around lunchtime to finish the day comfortably higher, up 55 points at 6,663. Today's top performers were healthcare companies. Blackmores up almost 9% and Mesoblast up more than 5%. Several travel stocks, including Flight Centre and Webjet, however, fell, hit by the Perth lockdown. The Aussie dollar also recovered from a weak start to edge higher to 76.5 US cents, while new home loans hit a new all-time high in December with $26 billion worth approved by lenders, helped by record low rates and government incentives. Mark.
OK, Gemma, thank you. Australia's wet summer is being blamed for seesawing fruit and vegetable prices. The cost of some apples has almost doubled, but grocers say there's every chance what's expensive this week could be cheap the next.
It's becoming harder to budget for the weekly shop as fruit and vegetable prices vary wildly.
A lot of prices are coming really cheap on certain products, and certain products are expensive.
The shortage of pickers caused by COVID is contributing, but the weather is the driving factor.
Weather is the biggest contributor to what happens in our industry. So if we have a lot of rain, it affects a lot of product.
We had a really hot early summer and then a really wet late summer, so the crops were down a little bit on normal.
Currently, apples are through the roof. Pink ladies around $7.50 a kilo, while royal galas are just under $6. Ginger has tripled, but a huge supply of tomatoes and cauliflower have seen their price plummet.
3 or 4 weeks ago, there was nothing getting harvested, so the prices went really high, and then so that reflects into the stores, so the demand drops, then all of a sudden all the crops start getting harvested again, and the prices have come way back.
In a bid to prevent the price hikes, some grocers will look to import fruit and vegetables, but farmers are urging customers to buy local Australian produce.
Some other countries don't have those laws. They don't have the scrutiny that's applied to Australian growers, so I'd encourage them to think twice about buying an imported product.
Everyone needs to get out there and support basically all your fruit shops, all your independents.
Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
Sydney's biggest aquatic centre since Olympic Park has opened at Green Square. The $106 million facility includes a 50-metre outdoor pool, a 25-metre indoor pool with a floor that moves to vary its depth, as well as a kids' water playground. The centre also features a gym, cafe and a creche.
We're providing facilities here for this community and the community into the future.
For those feeling a little less active, there's also plenty of space to simply lounge around. Left with damage and compensation claim denied. The Sydney Council's leaving ratepayers out of pocket. Why they're rejecting legitimate claims and how you can make them pay. Don't miss that special investigation soon on 7 News. But now Mel is back with sport. Mel, the Sixers are finally home.
It's incredible, isn't it? Close enough anyway. Still in a hub, but finally back in Sydney. Their first visit to the SCG all season will be in the Big Bash final. Details up next. Plus, the lengths the crowd at Manuka Oval will go to make the BBL highlights reel on a tough night for the Thunder. And Scotty James stuns in the Super Pipe final, but was this effort enough for a third straight gold medal?
What sort of a distraction is behind this wall? What is behind the wall?
I'd be disappointed if it wasn't Beyonce.
You're gonna miss!
Honestly, how can you concentrate?
Holy moly!
starts tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Drumstick, summer's here.
Things are a little different these days. There's a little more time to dream a little, learn a little, love a little. Why not bring a little luxury into your life? Because it's the little things that make a big difference.
I'm borrowing a car.
Introducing the new Lexus IS. With reimagined design for enhanced drivability, you'll always move as one.
The Nick Scarmy January sale, extended for 1 week only. Save up to 50% off a huge range of quality furniture. The Nick Scarmy January sale, must end Sunday.
A lot of us are spending more time at home.
Ow.
Using a lot more electricity and internet. Unfortunately, iSelect can't help with your naked partner walking past your big presentation. But we could help shrink those household bills. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13 19 20.
There'll be toasties in Toowoomba, morning tea in Broome, square cuts in Albury and triangles in Wodonga. And there'll be lunch on warm afternoons near Mudgee. Because Tip Top bakes every day with Australian wheat. And it's not going to cut itself.
Pretty soon, the amount of super paid on top of our wages will go up. And up. And up. And up. All the way to 12% guaranteed. That extra money will make a big difference when I retire. Put my feet up. You see, your future is even more super.
This Sport Report brought to you by Industry Super Funds.
Welcome back. The Sixers are still waiting to hear if Mitchell Starc's fit and wanting to play Saturday's Big Bash final, but they say it is unlikely. The hopes for an all-Sydney SCG decider were dashed when the Thunder crashed out last night.
After 2 months as Big Bash exiles, the Sixers finally returned to Sydney this afternoon for a shot at back-to-back titles.
It would mean a hell of a lot to everyone at this club.
The Thunder could come home too.
Everyone understands how tough this competition is, and that's why I'm really proud of this group.
Not the only ones to go crashing out in Canberra last night.
And that gentleman, he's gone!
I reckon his wife cops a couple of those.
So much went wrong at the worst time of the season.
He's broken his jockstrap, so he's going to take everything off.
A distracted Usman Khawaja fell charging Marnus Labuschagne.
Oh, got him! Brilliant!
Mitch Swepson spun out the middle order and panic set in for the Thunder.
Run out!
They still posted 8 for 158, then had Denley.
Got him!
Then Lynn.
Straight up. This is massive.
Then Labuschagne gone.
Oh, that's tight.
And the Heat needing more than 11 and over. But with a slippery ball, the bowling fell apart, and former Aussie one-day bowler Sam Hazlett's career-best unbeaten 74 ended the Thunder's season. Luckily, Tanveer Sangar's hand injury won't cost his place on the New Zealand T20 Tour.
That he's ready to go, and he's got all the skills that he needs.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Just 2 to go in BBL 10. The Scorchers play the Heat in the Challenger on Thursday night, and the winner takes on the Sixers in the final at the SCG on Saturday night. The 2021 season is make or break for off-contract Sharks veteran Josh Dugan. This time last year, the former Kangaroo was looking at medical retirement, but with his chronic knee problem now under control, Dugan wants to play on.
Back and forth with the club at the moment about, maybe extending and that sort of thing. So, I'd love to stay here.
The 30-year-old says he can be a positive influence on the playing group.
Help the younger guys coming through and dish off a little bit of my experiences and stuff like that and help them out in the long run.
Dugan, Sean Johnson, Aaron Woods and coach John Morris are all unsigned beyond this year. Bernard Tomic will head into the Australian Open with no match practice. Shortly after showing off his basketball skills on social media, Tomic pulled out of his only warm-up event with what he says is a knee injury. While Greek star Stefanos Tsitsipas spent time at the restaurant that sells the Tsitsipas souvlaki, Serena Williams preferred a more traditional build-up, easing past Aussie Dasha Gavrilova at the women's warm-up events. Mo Salah has fired Liverpool to back-to-back wins in the Premier League. The defending champions down to West Ham 3-1 to move to within 4 points of leaders Manchester City. Salah's second half double spurred the Reds into action.
And Salah nicks it beyond Fabianski to score the most sumptuous end-to-end goal.
It wasn't bad. Chelsea defeated Burnley 2-0 to give new manager Thomas Tuchel his first win. Another cheating scandal didn't stop golf's bad boy Patrick Reed from streeting the field at the Farmers Insurance Open in San Diego. Reed denied taking illegal relief for an embedded ball during yesterday's third round. He moved his ball before an official arrived to make a ruling.
So does that tee go? You rely on whether it's volunteers, your other opponents, and the rules officials to make the right calls, and we felt like we did that.
The 2018 Masters champion went on to capture his 9th PGA Tour title by 5 shots. Adam Scott faded to finish tied for 10th. And Scotty James came up agonisingly short in his quest for a third straight gold medal at the X Games in Aspen. The 26-year-old waged a spine-tingling duel with Japan's Yuto Totsuka in the snowboard superbike final. It all came down to Scotty's final run.
Back 12, so he's got a switch back 12 and a back 12. Does he have a 14? Yes, he does! I see your bluff and I raise you. Scotty James has gone all in.
Yeah, that dazzling effort wasn't enough to snatch the gold from Totsuka's grasp. James had to settle for a silver. Didn't get the three-peat, but my goodness, that's one of your more spectacular sporting events you'll ever see in your life. They are unbelievable.
Plenty of air in Aspen.
Yep, heaps.
Thanks, Mel. Getting fair compensation for damage or injury caused by a local council problem can be a major challenge. A 7 News investigation shows 7 out of 8 claims against the City of Sydney are rejected. But with evidence, the right approach and the right advice, you can make them pay.
City Council Garbos at work in a Surrey Hills lane, discovering a can of paint, but just throwing it back, spattering white on the garage doorway. That cost the city $520 damages, one of nearly 200 compensation claims in a year, but very few succeed.
They just literally sent me a letter saying, sorry, it wasn't our fault. We didn't know about it.
His car fell into a hole left by an open drain in Darlinghurst.
Just bang! And my son goes, Daddy, what's that?
Stuck, costing $400 to remove, but not compensated for a council drain left exposed.
People kept walking past saying, that's been there for days.
He's not alone. Others claim tyre and wheel damage, property damage, personal injury. Council documents obtained by 7 News show 183 claims in a year. Just 23 have been paid. That means 7 out of 8 claims were rejected.
No, I'm not surprised. It's quite difficult to push matters through.
Applying to all local councils, lawyers say their advice: take plenty of photographs, speak to nearby residents.
You need to be persistent. You need to keep copies of all your medical records and keep copies of all your out-of-pocket expenses.
This is where the paint incident happened in Surrey Hills. The key to that successful damages claim, of course, a security camera, producing evidence that's hard to argue with. City Council says claimants need proof and to make sure they're blaming the right agency. Chris Marr, 7 News.
Now Angie's back with the forecast. Angie, the rain clouds are clearing.
They are, Mark. Tomorrow will bring more showers with a much more settled pattern to look forward to from Wednesday. Your local forecast is next.
Colorbond, made by Australia.
Introducing Light and Easy's new Jumpstart Plus. Jumpstart Plus combines the proven weight loss results of intermittent eating with Light and Easy's delicious summer menu, plus a new app to track your success and help you achieve your goals.
Every week I've consistently lost weight, and the new Jumpstart program really kick-started that for me.
Light and Easy made it pretty easy for me to lose it. I didn't have to think about it. The weight just kept dropping off.
Fast track your weight loss success in 2021 with Light and Easy's new Jumpstart Plus. Jump online today.
Who could have known that extra love could add extra pounds? That all those accidents could have a medical explanation? Or that the smallest changes could make the biggest impact? You did, and so did we. That's why Hills always starts with a pet's biology to anticipate their ever-changing nutritional needs for differences you can see, feel, and trust. So you're always a step ahead.
Great news, you're all approved. Other kids are going to love it.
Make your house more home with our lowest ever advertised fixed rate home loan. That's the Suncorp spirit.
iSelect can't help with your naked partner walking past your big presentation, but we could help shrink your electricity and internet bills while you're stuck at home. Compare, select and save with iSelect.
Calculating route. Continue straight. Return to route.
I don't know if you heard. Did you hear the...
Take first exit.
I think it wants us to take this exit, and there it goes.
Take any exit. Continue straight. 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 Oh, come on.
Turn on the fun with Toyota Corolla. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Discover the art of simplicity at the King's Summer Sale. Save up to 50% on Australian design. So why buy ordinary furniture when you can come home to King? Sale ends Sunday.
This weather report is brought to you by the King's Summer Sale. Ends Sunday.
Cakes, cosmetics, even hair products. Is it time for a new approach dealing with allergies in schools? On 7 News at 6.
Tonight's 7 News headlines. Queensland finally opens to Sydney as Perth hits the panic button. A single case of the UK strain putting 2 million people into lockdown. A father's dodged bullets as his children slept during a drive-by shooting in Mount Druitt. A little boy knocked out cold by a running phone thief in Lidcombe. He was held in a citizen's arrest. And secret plans revealed to toll drivers northbound on the Harbour Bridge and the tunnel. Now with the latest on Sydney's weather, here's Angie.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a wet and stormy few days across our state. We are coming to the end of that pattern, though, with the showers to clear by midweek. Today's top was 28.9 degrees in the city, so a warm one, and it was a humid night, 20.7. Temperatures didn't vary much from east to west. The airport reached 28, Manly 29, 30 was about the warmest at Campbelltown, Camden, Penrith and Richmond. Showers, though, have been few and far between today. A low pressure trough is interacting with this moisture-laden air just being directed onto the coast. That's fueling the wet weather and storms. A line of particularly damaging cells is on track for Canberra now. So far, we've seen 40 millimetres inland at Batlow. Tomorrow, that line of wet weather will move right across New South Wales, eventually clearing, which does set us up for a more settled run of conditions by midweek. To the capitals, Brisbane, showers and 28 degrees tomorrow. Canberra, unsettled and 25. Melbourne will be partly cloudy and cool, just 19. Hobart, fine 20. Adelaide heading for a pleasant day, partly cloudy 25. Another very hot one for Perth, 37 degrees. Darwin's expecting rain and 29. Statewide, we are going to see more showers and storms move across inland centres first before making their way out to sea. Totals aren't expected to be too heavy. Around 30 millimetres should be the best of it, mainly around the south coast, remaining sunny for the far west. For Sydney's suburbs, showers will pick up again tomorrow with 5 to 15 millimetres forecast locally. They are most likely in the morning and afternoon. Temperatures are going to be on the cooler side, though. 23 degrees forecast for Mascot and 24 for Parramatta. On the coast, northeasterly winds will run at 15 to 25 knots at first, then swing around to the south, reaching 30 knots by evening. So we do have warnings in place. Strong winds from the Macquarie coast down to Sydney waters, gales from the Illawarra down to the border. For the CBD, a low of 19 tonight, a top of 24, which is down on average for this time of year. Again, a morning storm is likely. Ahead from Wednesday, we'll start to see some pleasant temperatures and a lot more sunshine in the mix. Sunday's the warm one, 32 in the city, 35 in our west. So a much more settled week on the way for us, Mark.
A wet one tomorrow, Angie.
Yes,
Thank you. That is 7 News for this Monday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.